Hey everybody,
Hi,
how you doing?
How you doing?
That sounded really weird. All right, let's try that again. Hey everybody.
Hope you're doing well.
In this episode, we're going to share some of our misadventures, and hope you enjoy it. Well, I like to always show a story and not have to tell the story, but sometimes the facts and activities of the live action happen when the camera's not rolling. So in this case, we want to tell you about two very challenging days that we just had out on the water. So day one, we started bright and early. We like to get going early, just at sunrise or even at first light, so we can make good progress, and it's always better to get going the earlier the better.
Yeah, well, it was a very cold morning. There was frost on the decks and there was frost on the boat. But one thing that I like about the cold weather sailing, or boating, seems that at this point, seems like there's less traffic on the waterways. And I really appreciate not having to contend with so many boats out on the waterway. Over the summer when we were coming north, I never experienced the congested waterways. That was so stressful, dealing with conditions of other boats. And some of the wakes that we experienced were truly, feet tall wakes from other boats that were very serious on our up and down motion in the boat, knocking stuff all around in the boat, than other conditions that had no effect on us. So having it to ourselves, I really like that.
We left the marina. There was no one there to help us cast off, so we're learning more and more how to be able to do that ourselves. And also we begin to also have our first instance of when we coming into a dock and a slip by ourselves, and that's even more challenging. So we headed out. And we went past the large cargo area in Morehead City, through the bridges, and out onto Bogue Sound. We had really sunny weather, which was really great. We waited for the weather window, and our destination was to go to the Pacific Marina and have the boat hauled out so I could do the bottom paint. I even bought the best bottom paint. I decided to follow the advice of my mentor, and he told me to get Petite Ultra SR 40, which is like the really good stuff. Because I'll tell you, South Carolina, in a matter of a couple of weeks, all kinds of, it's like a lawn is growing on your hull. I mean, there's just so much marine growth down in the Carolinas, so especially South Carolina when the weather's warm. Everybody, it's bright and early. It's about 30 degrees. It's freezing, but we got an early start as we head south. And the good thing is that last year we headed south in January, so it's December this year, so hopefully we'll get a little further and we'll get a jump on the cold weather. So that's where we're at. It's my favorite kind of sea state, nice and calm. That's the kind of water I like. So everything's good, we're all good, we're doing good, and here we go. So I got good bottom paint and ready to put it on. Found a marina that's able to let owners do their own work, you know. So we wanted to get this bottom paint put on already because, as you remember in a previous episode, we weren't able to get in because there was so much backed up business and activities for the marinas after Hurricane Florence. So we headed south, and here we hit our first challenge.
So our first mishap, I guess, of the day was everything was going great. We had timed things we thought really well. We were coming up onto the Onslow Swing Bridge, and right before, about 2 miles before there's temporary buoys, and I had seen ahead for a little while a sailboat that seemed to take a long time getting through there, and didn't think too much about it except they were taking a long time getting through. Well, finally seemed to be through, and he passed us and said hi as he went by. Next thing I know, a few minutes later, he turned around and he was actually coming up on our port side, heading south like us, and he had said, hey, he had just gotten really fixed hard aground coming through those temporary buoys.
Yeah, evidently the temporary buoys were in the wrong location and people were just grounding on it right and left. In fact, just as we came and approached it, we grounded, but then I was able to get off, which was great. But then just as we were moving away from being grounded on it, this sailboat came down pretty quick and asked us, hey, when's the swing bridge open? And he just like plowed right in and was hard aground and couldn't get off. So we were really concerned because we have to reach the swing bridge. We couldn't get past this area.
It was low tide.
Yeah, and my chart, was wrong. And sometimes that happens, shoals change. That's the nature of Mother Nature. So there's no way to stay the same. It's not like roads, when you use your GPS to drive somewhere, the roads don't shift and change, invisibly. But channels and even the markers, they're called aids to navigation. There's no guarantee that they're right. You have to navigate, and they're just aids. They hopefully will help you. They're usually correct, but you can't just blindly go down. You got to, kind of do your research. Yeah, and the Coast Guard releases aids to navigators, updates. All right, so what do we do now? The day's getting longer, and we can't go past this area, and so
because and one of the reasons was the timing, because we were there at basically low tide, so
yeah,
we'd have to wait quite a few hours for there to be enough water under our keel to hopefully make it over some of these tight areas.
Yeah, the tide goes from low to high in a 6-hour period of time. So for the first 3 hours on either side of that, there's not that much difference. And so we couldn't get through there. I did know, based on the charts, that the next morning at 7:30 a.m. would be high tide. Then we could just go through there. And even if the temporary buoys were wrong, if there's enough water, you just kind of sail through it. We never had a problem through that area before. Well, we headed back, and there's a town dock in Swansboro that we thought we could call and get in.
So the choices that we had were back in Swansboro, but the Hurricane Florence had really done a lot of damage in that town, terrible damage. One of the big marinas, Casper's Marinas, their docks were destroyed. We called another marina there, Dudley's, and they had a lot of sand encroaching in their area, so they didn't have a lot of room for sailboats with a 5-foot draft. But the town dock was open. It's unmanned, which means we got to come in solo, which is always a challenge for us.
Yeah. So we went in solo. And here's the thing, especially in South Carolina and Georgia, but in North Carolina too, the tide is, a factor. As the tide is rising or lowering, it produces a current. And it seems up in the Chesapeake, where we started from, it's not that strong, but down the Carolinas, that current can be several knots strong. And if you try to enter a slip with no one on the docks to throw a line to, it can be really challenging if the current is pushing you one way or the other, even with a 35 horsepower diesel engine like we have. So,
and I just want to say, this is another situation where sailors helping sailors.
Sailors helping sailors.
There was a sailboat that had already just docked, and the gentleman he was off his boat, and he happened to see us coming in with a little bit of a struggle, because we were having a struggle aiming the boat into this little narrow slip, because the current was trying to push our bow in a certain direction. That wouldn't help me to jump off to tie the rope to lock us in, and it was a little scary. And it wasn't a little scary, it was scary. And this nice gentleman said, came over and lended a hand and caught the bow line for us to help us. But even that, he had to wrestle with us to get that boat in the
strong
slip.
Current.
So it took three people to get that boat safely in that slip.
Swansboro, North Carolina. We settled in there for the night and walked around the town and went and had some food and had a nice time together. And
Cute little town.
It was a cute little town.
Cute little town. Cute little town. Cute little town.
It was a cute little town. We got up early next morning, and lo and behold, at sunrise, at first light, it was dark out and then got light. The current was incredible, and we had a real difficult time backing out of that slip because the current was just pushing us right into the pile, pushing us right into the piles, right into the side.